Hello, everybody. This is Bobby. Welcome back to Your Father's Story. Quick story or quick summary. As always, I bought this book from Walmart. I was going to write in it. I never wrote in it. Now I'm making videos about it. So, this is episode 5, I believe, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, we're just going to dig into this book and then we're going to answer a few questions and hopefully be entertaining doing so. But there's never any guarantee of that. So let's dig in and see what we can find, shall we? What is one thing I don't know about our family you think I should know? Um, I really, I really don't know that you don't know much about the family that you should know. Um, a number of them served in the military. I know I've talked about this a few times. Like your grandfather served in the Navy. My dad was in the Air Force. Um, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this out loud or I don't know why it matters, but my dad told me he was involved in the bombing of Cambodia in the Korean War. So, for what that's worth, obviously he's never gone into detail about that. So, probably something he doesn't want to relive. He hasn't told me really a whole lot about his military days. But obviously that's where he met my mom and in Thailand, and they got married and mom moved here and blah blah blah. Um, Uncle Bill is a black belt in Taekwondo. More than 1 degree, I think. I think at least second degree, if not third. Um, they're a whole family of funny people. I'll tell you that. They most of them have great senses of humor. Um, I love my cousin Jeff very much. I miss him dearly, and his wife Renee. Um, Uncle Roger, his father, very good sense of humor. Uncle Bill, great sense of humor. Um, the aunts are just very sweet people. Unfortunately, they both passed now, Aunt Joanne and Aunt Janet. I love my cousins all dearly. They're just good people. Kim and Bonnie are Joanne and Bill's daughters, and Jeff and Jen are Roger and Janet's kids. Don't know why that word was so difficult to come by, but it has been a long work week and not enough sleep. So I don't think there's too much beyond that. I really have to. I just dropped my pen on the ground. Uh, that I have to really go through. I don't know. I'm just trying to think. They all loved animals. Lots of dogs and cats in the family history. Um, hmm. Jeff had lots of dogs. Jen had lots of dogs. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but we used to have a lot of family get-togethers for all holidays, and you guys went to the family. Can't find that word either. You know what I'm talking about. Um, so we've all kind of grown apart over the years, and I'm just as guilty of that as anyone else. I'm terrible at keeping up with people, and really anybody who doesn't, my family, my friends, if they're not contacting me, I'm generally not contacting them, and there's no reason for it other than don't like contacting people. I just don't. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think there's really anything I have to expand upon. Aunt Janet had a pool that I loved and spent a lot of time in. Would swim in the spring, even though it was ice cold, and they thought I was crazy. But I was a little kid. What did I care? um, I think that's it. I'm sorry that's not a very interesting answer, but I guess it's the book's fault for not asking an interesting question. So I guess we'll move on. There's a question here of did you ever rebel or get into trouble? If so, what did you do and what was your punishment? I feel like I answered that before, but there's no check mark next to it. I mean, I think it's a different question. It's not the same question, but there's nothing really to answer about that one either. Did I really rebel? I can't really sit here and say that I rebelled. I'm gonna put a check mark next to that question, even though, I mean, I kind of feel like I already answered it. Let me do a quick think, and no, there's nothing really to talk about there. It's not fair to say I rebelled, except that I skipped school a lot. You guys know that. I don't know if it's fair to call that rebelling. Just a lot of circumstances going on there, but nothing that I would really wish upon anyone else or say that, it was a good idea that I did that. Yeah, it is what it is. So I'm going to answer the question on the next page. Did you have an after-school job? Why or why not? Actually, I mean, this isn't really a question worth answering either. The short answer is no, I did not. I did not get my first job until after I left school. It was like 2 years after. I worked with my dad and my cousin and my uncle insulating pipes and ducts for a company called Yukon Insulation. My first working days were 12-hour days, so that was fun times. Actually, it was kind of fun. I did enjoy it. Maybe I'll expand on that deeper as I go on, because I have a feeling I'm going to be asked more about that later on. I guess I'll go into it a little bit. I worked with them for a year. I ended up quitting because I quit a lot of my jobs. Don't do that either. Like, when I quit this job, I had never heard of a 2-week notice. Ever. No one ever told me about that. No one ever told me that was a thing until after I quit. My dad showed up at my house 2 days later. And first of all, asked me if things were okay with me and my girlfriend, Amy, who I'd been with for several years. And things were. And then he told, it's customary to give a 2-week notice. I'm like, oh, cool, thanks. Now I feel like a dick. And my boss, Ray, was really good to me, too. I felt like a total asshole. I quit because, like, at the end, I was driving like an hour and a half one way to this job, and it was just, there was no end in sight, and I was like 19 years old, and I don't know, it just didn't feel like it was worth it, and I was young and stupid, and, it's not like the money was that great. It was probably okay for the time. I wasn't making that much money, even in, construction or whatever, but no, I was like, screw it. Plus, I think, I had no call, no showed. I was going to get in trouble for that. So I had to go see Ray, my boss, and instead of getting the lecture, I just quit. So there was no fight, there was no argument, there was no nothing like that. I just said, Ray, look, I can't do this anymore. So that was basically the long and the short of it. But yeah, I do not advise ever ending a job that way if you can avoid it. If the circumstances permit it, give your notice and do things the right way. But there are times when, you know what, screw them, quit, get out of there, Guess that's all I really got to say about that. But that doesn't even really answer the question that was asked. The question was, did I have an after-school job? The answer is no, and the reason for that is probably, I don't know. I don't even know what after-school job I would have had at the time. I don't even know what after-school jobs were available, if there were any in my area, and my mom didn't have a car and didn't drive, so that made things kind of difficult. And I don't think my mom would have even let me work. So I guess that's the long and the short of it right there. Well, I turned 2 pages and I found a question I want to answer, so I'm going to go ahead and put a check mark on this one right here. Question is, did any world events affect you growing up, and how did you cope? Yeah, I would say so. The first one that comes to mind is the Space Shuttle Challenger blowing up. I really can't remember if I watched that one live. I want to say that I did. I want to say that I saw it live on TV, unfortunately. Basically what happened, I mean, it's not very funny, but it's a short story. The Challenger, lifted off into the air, and then shortly thereafter it blew up, and it was it was a scary thing. It was a big deal. I remember sitting on the living room floor of my the single wide trailer that me and my parents were living in, and just kind of watching it on TV. And I was really young, so it wasn't like I got sad and cried, but it was definitely surreal. I remember it. So yeah, that was definitely a thing that happened. Trying to remember other world events that I remember happening. I mean, obviously I lived through the end of the Cold War and all that stuff. But I don't really remember anything like watching it on TV. I don't, recall anything significant about that as it affected me or whatever. Obviously, 9/11 is worth mentioning. I remember waking up that morning. I was working at Walmart at the time, and I worked at 11 o'clock. And when I woke up, I dropped my pen on the ground again. I just suck at life right now. I worked at 11, and my mom told me when I came out of my room that a plane had crashed into the Empire State Building. And I remember thinking, that's pretty big target. You should probably fly around that. She didn't say it was a terrorist attack or anything like that. And maybe at that time, they didn't really know that it was a terrorist attack. But by the time I got to Walmart, everyone knew exactly what it was, and it was all over the Walmart network and all the TVs and everything. And I think I was working like an extra day that I had missed a day, and I asked the manager if I could work another day, which they didn't generally do, but they let me do it. So I think I was working by myself. I worked with a team in the back room. It was called the ICS team. I think I was working by myself that day, just filling stuff from the back room or whatever. But it was all over the TVs. It was all over the place, and people would stop to watch it, and a lot of people were just stopping to watch it. Managers would just have it to tell them, come on, we got a job to do and all this stuff. And I was the one who was just walking by. I kind of glanced at the TV as I was going by, but I was just working, and you got a job to do and you got to do it. So it was definitely surreal. And I also remember Operation Desert Storm. I remember that being on the Walmart network, watching the U.S. forces slowly closing in on Kuwait, and that was interesting to watch. I'm sure there are others. I'm sure there are others that are just not coming to my brain right now. And I'm sure as we're watching this, Kate's going to name off 10 events that happened, and and then I'm going to have to tell you guys if I even remember them or not. What happened. So, I mean, I've definitely lived through a lot of world events, a lot of, celebrity and famous people deaths, and, all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, I think 9/11 is the one that sticks out in my brain, it's certainly one worth remembering. Big deal for a long time, and the world definitely changed after that, especially, mostly in our country, but, the world as we knew it was basically over at that point. And, it's just a strange thing that happened, and, I know that's putting it mildly, isn't it? But, but yeah, it's definitely the predominant one in my mind, for sure. As far as how I coped with it, it was, it didn't affect me like it affected so many other people. I just, it was the world was different. You could definitely feel it. But I I just basically went on with my life like anything else. So yeah, like I said, it really didn't affect me like it affected a lot of other people. But like I said, there's certainly other events. I remember Michael Jackson's death. I was a big Michael Jackson fan when I was a kid, and when he died, that was a big deal. And Solid Monster still has one of his first famous episodes of the podcast was his rant on the media coverage of Michael Jackson's death, and it's still one that's talked about to this day. So that's worth mentioning, at least from my perspective. So yeah, that's really really all I could think of right this second. But yeah, definitely some significant events in history, that's for sure. Here we go. What's the funniest story about my childhood that you can remember? So that's a funny story about both Christian and Aiden. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to think. There are several good ones for Aiden. One that sticks out in my mind right now, and we have a picture of it. It's a perfect picture. This may not qualify as the funniest moment, but we were doing a train ride, like a fall harvest whatever train ride. It's one of those little ones, and Kate was sitting in front of us, and she was like taking pictures, and Aiden was sitting on my lap, and we went through a tunnel, and the second we went through the tunnel, like Aiden's eyes went. Such a great moment. Such a great moment. I still think about that picture and it makes me laugh. Like, just the shock in Aiden's face that the world suddenly went dark. That's good stuff. Oh, there are many, many funny stories with Christian too. I'm gonna have to go to a Left 4 Dead story though first. There was one time we were playing Left 4 Dead. This is one of the funniest things that I can remember. We were playing versus, and he was playing as the zombies. And we got to the end part of the level, and Christian decides that he's going to help me beat the other zombies. So he respawns as the tank at one point. So he's killing like all the other zombies. And I'm just going around just trying to survive. There's hordes of zombies just coming at me. I'm just shooting and shooting. And there was a part in the level where there was like a crossroads, right? And I'm coming to the road, and there's a road going this way, of course. And as I'm coming this way, here comes Christian as the tank, and he's just jumping all the way. This giant malformed monster is jumping across the road like this. It was one of the funniest things that I had ever seen, and I was just dying laughing. Still makes me laugh just thinking about it. Let's see if I can try to think of one that's not video game related. Oh my god, there was a really funny moment. I'm gonna have to look it up on Facebook because I know I posted it, but it was when I was still living with Christian's mom, whose name I will not speak. But I think I just finished writing my book. I think I finished writing The Roar of a Dragon, and I went in to tell Christian. Oh, I remember. Oh my god. Okay. So I finished writing the first draft of The Roar of a Dragon, right? And, like, at least I think that's what it was. I can't fucking remember. Anyway, I did something really significant with my life. So I go in to tell Christian, and I'm really proud of myself and all this stuff. So I tell Christian what I did, and Christian looks at me. He looks me dead in the face, and he says, "Talking about meatloaf." What the fuck even is that? Like, I like, to this day, I have no idea what he was even talking about. But like, I've never forgotten that. Well, I had trouble remembering it, but I put it on Facebook, and it's there for all eternity. So it's never going to be forgotten. And just a moment in Blanchard history, I guess we all have to live by. I think with Aiden too, and these aren't really all the best examples, but they're the ones that come to my brain right now. There was one time when Aiden was eating dinner, and he was starting to tell me that he was full, and I was like, "Can you eat a little bit more?" And he looks at me and he says, "I think I have like 20% more space in my stomach. I'll fit it." This kid's like 6 years old. He's telling me he's got 20% more space in his stomach. You got it, kid. So yeah, that's basically it. When that's my boys in a nutshell right there. And both of them have they've put an endless number of smiles on my face, and that's something I will always be grateful for, because that's a lot less smiles I would have if they weren't around. So that's one thing I will always be thankful for. Wow, this is a perfect question to end on. Do you think it's crucial to stay young at heart, and if so, how have you kept a childlike spirit? I think we can all agree that I have maintained my childlike spirit throughout my entire life. One of my mother's most famous words to me, in my mind, for me anyway, is once you grow up, it's all over. Basically, is what she said. And I've really kind of taken that to heart, and I think it took a while to understand what she really meant. I mean, all of us have to grow up at a certain point, and all of us have to, do the adult things that we don't want to do. But I think it's really important that in here, we do maintain some kind of childlike spirit, and we do keep that young part of us alive. I think life is just so much more alive that way, I guess, is the best way I could put it. It's just, life is so short, and especially right now, like right now is like the perfect example. There's so much hate and sadness and everything going on in the world right now. All the bad things going on. And we have to keep that something of a carefree spirit inside ourselves, to a certain degree. And I think it just helps so much, It's life is hard enough as it is to get through. And, it doesn't work for everybody, obviously, but I don't have it in me to take life so seriously. I think I would have lost my mind already if I did, And that's why you guys are so important. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you guys are so important, but you guys help me maintain that carefree spirit. I think the same, Kate's never going to admit this, but the same goes for her too. Like, I think dinner is a perfect example. Like, we sit around the table and we talk about stuff, and like, we spend half the time laughing. And I think that's so important. I think it helps us all a great deal. And there's a lot of talk today about electronics and how it damages relationships and families and blah, 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 blah. I maintain that that's not always true. Because we all find stuff on the internet and we share it with each other and we talk about it. That's how you use the internet to connect with each other. And I think we've done that extremely well. Still no phones allowed at the dinner table. Except when sometimes we use our phones at the dinner table. But I do think it's extremely important to just keep that spirit of a child in you somewhere, And I do believe very heavily in my mother's words that, once you grow up, it's all over. I've heard that said in different ways in, TV shows and movies and things like that over the years. And yeah, I do believe it very much to be true. I think that, we have to find some way, in some small way, to have fun or, just enjoy our lives just a little bit, because there's so much seriousness and nonsense, and and we do, I do the same thing at work too. Like, we have fun with our customers too. We just talk about, but we got to have fun somewhere, dude. Like, and they're usually very cool about it, and they'll help us out too, and they'll be silly in their own ways as well. So I think you find a lot of that at a lot of different places too, because people feel the same way. Especially with the world the way it is now. Like I said earlier, it's just craziness out there right now, and you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So, yeah, I think it's an important rule to live by, and I think it's one that you can maintain for the rest of your lives. I see old people come in every day, man. They still got that silly spirit. They're joking with each other and everything, and it's just a cool thing to see. Actually, I think Aunt Kathy is a perfect example. I've just been talking about how much I adore her and how funny she is, and she's great. Just comes in laughing all the time, and laughing at herself. Just making silly mistakes, and just like we all do. And you have to laugh at yourself too, because you don't laugh at yourself at some point or every day, or whenever you make a mistake, you're just gonna lose your mind. It's just the way it is. So yeah, I think that's a perfect question to end this session of Your Father's Story on. And yeah, that's a message I could definitely pass on to you boys, but you guys kind of already have that spirit, so I don't think I have to really drill that into your heads. But I do think it's important to talk about why that's important, and talk about yeah, that's it. No, talk about why it's important, and talk about what could happen, I guess, if you don't maintain that kind of thing. You're just going to be miserable all the time, and life is already miserable, and you don't want it to be more miserable. It's already miserable. Why do you want it to be more miserable? So, I'm too tired to find more eloquent words than that, but that's really just the way it is. So, I guess at the end of that, I just want to thank you guys for helping me keep that spirit. It's so much easier to do with you guys around, and we're all joking with each other. And again, that goes back to me allowing you guys to do things that your mothers did not approve of, and your grandmothers did not approve of. So I guess that's one way I rebelled. That's one way I rebelled, and I won that argument. So. And I was proven right this time. So, I'll take it, and I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to spike that ball in the touchdown zone. So, yeah, that's it. That is it. And that will bring this session of Your Father's Story to a close. RobertBlanchardBooks.com. If you're interested in the award-winning Roar of a Dragon series, you can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free. If you'd like to hear more about them, the Rise of Dragons podcast, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. My Linktree, my Instagram, my Twitter, all Bobby's World 2110. Mondays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is the Dark Souls Remastered No Estus run. This past week, the title of the episode is Bad News and Good News. So you may or may not want to check that out and find out why. I did thank the Dark Souls gods and apologize to them for bad things they said about the game. But that only lasts for a few seconds. So, check it out if you want to find out why. Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is Soulsborne Battle to the Death, where I pick 2 random Soulsborne bosses. And I pit them against each other, and then I do bios, and then I decide who I think would win, and then you leave your opinions in the comments. So, that is what that is all about. This is the 5th episode of Your Father's Story, so I don't have to tell you what that is. And the Bobby's World Hunger Games is on there. And last Wednesday I did a live stream, Dark Souls 3, with my no level up build against the Nameless King and Sister Frida. So just about 2 hours worth of that. Check that out. Some people very close to me dropped in on that one, and that was a fun time just chatting with those guys, and just had a good time. So leave a like, subscribe, notifications, and all that stuff. You guys want to see a pen trick? Let's see if I can do it. Look at that. Mr. Perfect, the wrestler, always used to do that pen thing. And I have adopted it. Flip it, you catch it in a writing position. Ready? See if I can do it again. Close enough. Wasn't bad. One more time. No, I fucked that up. There it is. Absolutely perfect. More things yet to come, as always. I appreciate you guys. There's also a video up thanking you guys for the recent growth on the channel, how much I appreciate that, and yeah, it's been amazing to see. And with everything that's been going on lately, basically with work, I just worked some overtime this week, so it's been a lot going on. I've been very tired, but seeing the growth on the channel and all that stuff has made all of this worth it. Made it more worth it than it already was. So I appreciate you guys for that, and I love you very, very much for that. It is late at night, and I am very tired, and I should be going to bed right now, but I am recording this video, so I'm going to put a capper on this, and then I am going to export these videos to a thumb drive, and then import them to my laptop, and then I'm going to start putting together Soulsborne Battle to the Death, and then I'm probably going to go to bed. So now you know my nighttime plans that do not affect you one way or the other, but I'm just rambling because I'm tired. So, thank you all so much. I hope everyone has an amazing week. Be well, stay safe, and as always, it's Bobby's World, and you're all just living in it. Sales Eve alive, y'all. Bye.
Hey, boss.
Yes, Courtney.
Mrs. Anderson called. She wanted to order several copies of your books for family and friends.
Oh, that's amazing. Get some ordered, have them sent over to me, and I will sign them for her. I really appreciate it if you could do that for me.
I didn't know you were an author.
You did. Courtney, you've been with me for like 2 years now, and we've talked about it fairly constantly, and there's an ad at the end of every one of these videos.
Well, that doesn't mean that I listen to everything you tell me. Are the books any good?
Well, ReadersFavorite.com said that its intensity rivals that of the Game of Thrones series. I know, that's pretty crazy, but that's exactly what it says. It's on the Cry of a Raven review. Go check it out.
Well, that's pretty cool. What are the books about?
It's about a soldier who gets exiled for saving a baby dragon, and later he's killed, and he wakes up 3,000 years later with strange powers, and he's watched over by the very same dragon, and the world has been overrun by evil, and he now must travel back in time to stop the evil that started in his own home country.
Wow, that sounds interesting. How can I get copies of the books?
Well, you can go to robertblanchardbooks.com and order your copies there. You can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free. And if you want to hear more about them, you can listen to the Rise of Dragons podcast.
You have a podcast too?
You know what, Courtney? You are doing such an amazing job that I think you are due for a raise. How does that sound?
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Thank you, boss.
You bet. Too bad the raise is going to be when I raise a water balloon over her head and just... Maybe I'll wait until her mom calls. I think she'll find that pretty funny. Go to robertblanchardbooks.com right now and get your copies of the series that got 3 5-star reviews from ReadersFavorite.com, 3 Author Shout Recommended Reads Awards, and 2 Literary Titan Silver Awards. You can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free, read more reviews, short stories, and much more. And if you want to hear more about them, you can listen to the Rise of Dragons podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts.